New to Medicare? Start now. Go to myhealthpolicy.com to learn about some of the top-rated Medicare Advantage plans in your area, including plans for $0 a month in plan premiums, low out-of-pocket costs, and expansive provider networks. If you're thinking about a Medicare Advantage plan, myhealthpolicy.com is a great place to go to find a plan that meets your needs. Learn more about your options. Even talk with a licensed insurance agent. myhealthpolicy.com.
New to Medicare? Go to myhealthpolicy.com. With myhealthpolicy.com, you can compare plans from some of the nation's top insurers. Start now to find a plan and apply online. myhealthpolicy.com makes it easy to find a Medicare Advantage plan in your area, including plans for $0 a month in plan premiums, low out-of-pocket costs, and expansive provider networks.
My decision, my Medicare. myhealthpolicy.com.
Hello and welcome to Audio Gyan, an Indian podcast for those interested in design, philosophy and arts. Audio Gyan documents thoughts, ideas and insights from known and unknown gems of India who have done some remarkable work in their field of interest. Visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. This podcast is brought to you in association with Culture Shop. For those who are not aware of it, Culture Shop is a platform for some of the top cutting-edge Indian graphic artists from around the world offering affordable art and quality lifestyle products reflecting the new India. Audio Gyan along with Culture Shop in this new season will be interviewing some of these brilliantly talented artists from India. Do check out cultureshop.in or visit their physical store in Bandra and newly open in Kalagoda. So today I have Ameya SK with us. He's a Mumbai-based artist, independent graphic designer, a product and a user experience designer who dabbles in illustration as a means of self-expression. More importantly, an artist who specializes in icons, a lover of line art, iconography, steampunk, mythology and other fantasy-driven themes. His expression of art is militaristic and futuristic. So thank you, Ameya, for giving us your time and welcome to Audio Gyan.
It's my pleasure, man. Like to join you guys.
Yeah. Cool. So today we'll be discussing about icons in general and try some discussing what are icons, how they evolved and what is the current state. And I believe you worked for housing.com also, right? With the
no, with Flipkart.
With Flipkart, okay. Yeah.
And quite recently with Yatra.
So can we just start, can you share a brief history of icons in India? How, when did they start? How did they emerge? And some background about it?
Well, icons in themselves, I think, personally, they started with any kind of communication with mankind.
Mm-hmm.
Like our very first touch with the prehistoric man, if we are going to consider that as prehistoric art, those were technically icons. Break down whatever you see, like a mammoth or whatever that you're hunting, and bring it down to its most basic form, just geometric, and getting the point across that people were hunting. But contextually as more like icons, I guess in India we have again with all the religions, from everything from Hinduism to pre-Judaic or any kind of religion has always been following icons. So I mean, if you think about it, possibly one of the first icons in the country would be the swastika. I mean, it just breaks down some ideas and makes it symbolic. And you see it and you understand what the context is. If you see a crescent moon with a star, you get Islam and you just see it. So, I mean, I'm guessing mainstream icons pretty much started from there. Like any kind of religious communication. But as a graphic design tool, I'm guessing it goes back to, again, pre-independence. Something, I'm guessing more along the lines of whatever design system was put in by the British or, especially in cases of road transport or anything. There was a proper context to it. There were proper icons set up over there. Since then, I think a lot of things have changed.
Yeah. So, to ask you, what could be a difference between an icon and a pictogram?
A pictogram would basically, like, again, this is my opinion on it. A pictogram would take more of an abstract idea, or maybe more of a literal idea rather, and would break it down to its simplest form. So like I personally had worked on this project once where I took in, let's say, scenes of meals, different types of cuisines, and just broke them down to, like, the basic shapes, the basic proportions, and just made line art out of it, which I'm guessing portrays the idea in a very simple form. I don't have to use shading, I don't have to use color to get the point across, but it's not an icon to me. Like, icons need to be scalable down to the smallest form. Like, because the communication could vary from print all the way up to promotional art on the streets, signages. It could be across digital platforms, it could be across anything, and they all need to say the same thing. They all need to look and say the same thing. They need to communicate the same value, the same logic. You can't waver there.
Correct.
Pictograms, not so much. Pictograms, you can just, like, take some liberties with making them a bit abstract with their idea, with their interpretation. So, that's the way that I see it.
And then, like, from whatever I know about pictograms, I haven't seen, like, a huge development in terms of pictograms in the Indian space. They are more like standards which we follow on airports and stuff like that. And so what are the challenges mainly while designing Indian icon?
With an Indian icon, what I'm guessing again, with the number of languages that we have, iconography in a way is kind of a language, right? It basically just has to have the same kind of ligatures, the same kind of values that any kind of a typeset would have. Except the number of languages we have and the number of cultures, they tend to vary a little bit. And everyone tries to own their own little piece of it. So that's where I think, like, some disparage ends up happening. Like, if I can give a very tiny example, driving down from Bombay to, let's say, Pune, you suddenly see a change in one signage for sure, which is a no parking sign for some weird reason. Both of them are saying the same thing. They're saying that no parking on certain dates. Except they do it differently and we do it differently.
Like, can you explain how?
Pune basically doesn't go for any icons or anything. It just says, it actually goes for the reverse. It doesn't say no parking on so-and-so days. It says parking, like, just puts a P and 2, 3, 4. 2, 4, 6.
Yeah.
So you understand that parking on even days. That's it. That's the signage. On the other hand, Bombay follows a no parking and a very tiny lettering below it, which goes 2, 4, 6. So you have to spend more time. I personally think that the Pune one nailed it. But that's within a radius of 150 kilometers, and we have a communication change. Why shouldn't it be more streamlined? That, hey, guess who's doing it correct, and let's just follow the system.
Correct.
But it's like, everyone wants to hold on to their own little piece of it and go like, hey, this was my little contribution to it. So there's a little disparage that happens there. And if you think about pictograms, I think we have an overlap any which way in our current systems. Like our schools ahead signages. Again, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with the traffic signage, like any iconography followed in that. But considering, I think, like, most people see those. The schools ahead wala sign is very weird. Like, it's two kids. I don't think it can scale down. I don't think it can scale down to its minimalist form. And it's more of a pictogram taken from, like, a picture of two children crossing the street, and you just made it black and white.
Yeah.
But maybe a different idea would have worked better to just visually tell you there's a school ahead, drive slow. That's it. That's what you want to get across, right?
Correct.
You don't want people thinking, what school, what kind of kids. You're kind of putting that context when you show pictograms.
Yeah.
Instead, just, like, another kind of signage, like when we see a cross, we just know there's a hospital ahead. You don't care which hospital, you don't care which clinic, you don't care which pharmacy. You need medicines, you pop in.
Yeah.
Why isn't something like that followed all across?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
Yeah, I think, like, even I'm super annoyed with those no parking signs where the no parking is written in a smaller font, but Mahesh tuitions is like big. So that's like another story.
That's pretty much sums it up, I think. That like we want to own our culture and our communication to the point where we don't care if the point gets across, and just our little contribution to it.
Yeah, cool. So coming back to the icon bit, can we discuss something more about what are the characteristics of an icon? Like I personally have designed few icons in ClearTrip and other places. So there's a lot of parameters, right? Like the negative space, the hollow space which it has. So can you just briefly tell us the characteristics of making a family of icons?
Well, and a family of icons is basically like a typeset to me. Like it's any kind of whatever rules you would follow for a typeset basically should be followed here first. Like that's the fundamentals. The same way that you would let's say if you were designing a typeset right now, you don't put the first alphabet in serif and the second one in sans serif. You suddenly don't move on to some other radius for your curvature. Your ascenders don't suddenly go, this alphabet would look prettier because this ascender would be longer. It has to follow this one metric. The same way with iconography as a basic form. After that, I would go with negative space and everything, when you but again, not wavering from the main idea that you want to actually communicate.
Correct.
And making sure that again, personally, when I'm actually designing the icon, an icon set or something, I normally make it at the smallest size because then I can scale it up.
Correct.
But the visibility and the understanding of the icon should be done at the smallest size first. I know that actually makes it very tough for people to go and make ownable icons because at the smallest size you can't do much. But at least I think that's the fundamentals that I would like to follow. Then these days, especially with all the icons being normally used in the tech format, like you said, ClearTrip or any other app, they've started taking a few liberties with the color usage. Again, like any typeset, an icon's family should firstly work in black and white. If it doesn't work in black and white, if it depends on color, it's not an icon family to me.
Correct, yeah.
But when I'm designing it, there has to be firstly a grid. It has to be scaled down to the smallest size and just follow whatever first characteristic you put to your first icon should be followed as a rule.
Okay.
Like your curvature.
Or then you can have iterations also, like when you move on to the third or the fourth icon and something evolves there, then you can marry that icon back to it. Yeah.
Again, the same thing with a typeset, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure when typographers sit down and they figure out, I'm guessing they normally start off with an S, is what I've heard. Just because once you start off with an S and by the time you reach a Q, you don't suddenly go, oh, you know what, I'm not going to make a better Q. If you end up finding something better by the fourth alphabet, you can adapt it back.
Correct.
And the same thing goes for an icon family, but not making them disparage, from this icon doesn't look like it belongs to this family at all. Or rather, the whole idea of all of them, excuse me, but also the fact that the very first thing I would follow is stay away from abstract icons. Because again, iconography in a way, when you're talking about communications, it should be all across the board.
Correct.
Regardless of culture, regardless of language, regardless of social status or social classes, I'm guessing, everyone should understand it. You might not be educated in English, but you should still get what the icon actually does. So maybe for all I know, someone who's not educated in English but is educated in another language wants to use ClearTrip, the lack of understanding should not hold him back. He should know exactly what he's doing. If he's booking a flight ticket, if he's booking a hotel, he wants to know that, just take it forward.
Correct.
But these days, I don't know.
Yeah. So can you tell us some of your experiences while designing the Flipkart icons family?
Oh, it was actually a very good experience. I had worked with this one studio. Actually, I had worked with two studios for the same project. There was Umbrella Design, and there was this brilliant design firm based in Bombay called Thought Over Design, who were handling more of the UI. And there, obviously Flipkart, being Flipkart, has a huge number of categories, huge communications going all across the country in different ways. And so when we started off with the communication icons first. So getting your app and offline communications in the back first. Then when we moved on to the categories, so we had to take again, taking them to the basic form. So when we are talking, and sometimes there would be overlaps in, let's say if we were to show kitchen articles, how do you show a kitchen article? So again, generalizing it, but not generalizing it enough that people would not, there would be some kind of miscommunication.
Correct. Confused as to which section to enter. Yeah.
So later on, again, it actually went off so brilliantly that we adapted it to their packaging. So if you order anything from Flipkart right now, you own all of my icons.
Oh, nice.
On the box. But that's how it started, and it as you mentioned earlier, it kind of evolved in that, when we started off with the icons, then we started realizing that, hey, you know what, it's following a story, because everything is available in one place. So, taking that forward, taking that idea forward, again, it had to be like with any kind of typeset, we had to figure out what kind of a design aesthetic to follow. Like, should they be friendly? Should they be stark? Should they be sharp and edgy? Or should they just be cutesy? Because at the end of the day, your Flipkart users vary from possibly 15-year-olds to 65. So in which case, all of them should understand it, all of them should get it, all of them should feel warmly towards it. And not be feeling alienated that I don't even understand which section I'm in.
Correct.
So following that, it was quite a challenge, but it was a fun challenge.
Can you tell us something about how can you, as you mentioned, these different styles, right? Like cute or rounded edges or different sharp edges or stuff like that. Like, how do you create a unique style and still be effective in communication?
Guess when I would want to make a unique style and still be able to hold on to the communication, I would not mess around with the shapes much. I mean, the idea that,
the core shape of it,
the core shape of it.
Okay.
It's with the curvatures, the color usage later on, or the kind of breaks that you would have in your icon set. The same way with any kind of typeset. Like, I'm guessing to a layman, there's not much difference between an Arial or a Helvetica. They think of it as sans serif.
Yeah.
I would love to follow that as a pattern for, for any kind of icon set also. Even if it's ownable, if it's something that is more unique. I mean, for a sharp eye, you should be able to see what the differences are.
Correct.
To not such a sharp eye, you should just be able to go like, hey, this one looks better than the other. Like a Helvetica will end up looking like better than the other. I'm guessing I just made a lot of designers squirm. But it's the same thing. There should be small nuances, not major differences to the point where the world might be signifying a certain thing with one icon, and I just come up with something completely different. Because that doesn't end up doing anything more than confuse the user.
So you're saying the devil is in the details, right?
Yeah.
But then how do we identify there are certain icons now that we have like line icons also, flat icons, and if you see Apple icon family, it has changed over last 5-6 years, and they still have that unique style. So I can digress this to probably emojis also. Like the emojis core function is same, but every product or every brand like WhatsApp, Facebook, they're trying to portray in some different style. So same with icons. If we keep the core shape same, what does it take to make it uniquely identifiable that this particular font is with Flipkart only? Like you look at that icon and you identify or associate it with Flipkart. What does it take to do that?
Well, taking that as an example, I would say, like, if you see the Flipkart icons right now, every icon is rounded. It has this one particular minimum radius and a maximum radius. So because it's to portray that as a family first. I'm guessing, like, with usage, more users get acquainted with it. They start identifying with it.
Okay.
But at the get-go, it doesn't. Because an icon doesn't come starkly different as, let's say, an illustration style. Because it's more of a minute, like you said, like, devils in the details. At the end of the day, when you pay attention to it, it just comes across as there's something different about these. Till then, they're just icons. They're just pictograms which are scaled down or scaled up. But again, like, the style being, if you go with products like, let's say, if you're looking at Paytm right now, they started off with some minimalistic icons. They still have them, like, the core functions that they were offering. This is not a plug for Paytm, but yeah, like the core functions that they were following, all of the icons have this one family. They just look minimalistic, beautiful line art, because of the states that they use. Again, that's where the difference between a line art icon or a fill state icon would come in. It could signify different stages of your usage. But as and when, like, the features started coming in, I'm guessing something like in events. I still don't understand the icon that they use for events. It's a horns up sign. In which case, what if it's a classical show? I highly doubt my 60-year-old grandfather could be giving the devil's horns going to the show. Or something like when they wanted to make a difference between a metro and a train, you suddenly see the train becomes a little more too detailed. In which case you just go, okay, this came about later. Like, it shows that evolution. That, hey, this feature must have come in later because this doesn't look like it belongs. So, like, those kind of little tiny details that come into play kind of make a huge difference with any kind of unique iconography, any kind of unique style that they want to follow. At least personally to me, like, because I'm guessing I pay too much attention to them. But those kind of things even, like, tell you the timeline and the way that they came. So let's say if an Apple system, if you talk about a communication system, it has evolved over 6 years, but they do it all across the board. So we never see like one icon being introduced or one icon being upgraded. It's all icons.
Yeah. You can see that in App Store, iTunes,
everywhere.
Podcast, everywhere.
If it's going to be changed, it has to be changed all throughout the board, or it doesn't change. Till then, even your Android design language that they followed later on, the material design language, till that point nothing changed, and after that all of their apps suddenly changed.
Correct.
Because that became coherent, that became a style, that became a language for them, which was brilliant. But when those little nuances start creeping in, that's when you realize what's been introduced first, and then something a little later.
Correct.
I mean, again, to take the Paytm language ahead, the color usage is what makes it unique. Because, I mean, you see those two shades and you just go,
yeah,
hey, that's
quickly
Paytm.
Identified, yeah.
Again, but if you ask me, there's a very good chance a layman would just, if he or she uses PayPal and Paytm at the same time, I don't see the difference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the color usage will just come down to, I don't know which one this belongs to, but as long as I'm getting my train ticket done, I'm happy.
Yeah, sure. Cool. I think obviously there are a lot of things to be explored overall in the icon space, and I would like to just keep this conversation very restricted to introduction to icons in general, so that probably even I can dwell more on different questions and have you again on audio again. The last thing which I wanted to ask you is, Like, what's your source of inspiration? I'm definitely not looking for dribble.
No, actually, I can only pitch one dribble for it, for sure. There's a fellow called Ryan Putnam. He is someone I would blindly follow when it comes to especially iconography, but more of a design language also. Because he thinks in the same way. Like, any idea should be brought down to its core shapes, its core its core meaning. Just because you want to show a boy or a girl doesn't mean you have to dwell in too many details, suddenly start giving him a stubble, this, that. It should just be a glorified version of a stick figure. Let's put it that way. Simply because a stick figure will not fly with clients, I'm guessing.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, if we think about when we used to draw stick figures, we all understood the meaning. So he does that. And any kind of for inspiration for iconography, let's see.
Yeah.
I would go for the standard manuals for any kind of British government services like the NHS or anything, because they had also figured out there's going to be a standards manual. So there's no disparage. That's what I love about any kind of communication art.
Yeah.
Because you could go from one to the other and you know exactly what a sign means.
Correct.
Except when there is different organizations acting in the same space, they all try to mess around a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And that, again, to me, it kind of adds some level of miscommunication.
Okay.
Because the user could get confused. And at the end of the day, your job is to make sure that the user gets what he wants to get. That's it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't do that, then what's the use?
Yeah.
But, getting back to your inspiration.
Yeah.
Let's see. Material design. The language is brilliant. It's beautifully set out. If you follow their icon guidelines that they have followed, they're on point.
Okay.
Like literally on point. I would say even better than Apple's, because Apple's still a little vague when it comes to, hey, you know what, add some quirk to it if you want. These guys have just laid it out. Like that's iconography 101.
Yeah.
In the digital space, I don't really know whom to follow. Because, I don't know, definitely don't follow VSCO. They went, that was again iconography 101, where they used abstract iconography, failed, personally, again. Because I don't know what button does what. I'm at a loss there.
Correct.
I'm guessing I'm doing something. And that's again a lesson, even they took in their stride, I'm guessing, where you still want to hold on to that VSCO-ness, but not make it that abstract. But yeah, Ryan Putnam.
Yeah,
that's it. That man is someone to just follow blindly.
Cool. I think we'll conclude with just Culture Shop, how they have helped you promote your work and what kind of work you have commissioned with them. Like how are things there?
Culture Shop is just like they're friends. So at the end of the day, but they're friends who understand you and who let you have your own freedom. So basically, the brief comes in and they never have, hey, can we not make it so
isko laal bana do.
Isko laal bana do is a different aspect. Only even with better feedback, they will not go with let's make this safe for work or something. They let you have their freedom and then they will handle it hey, we're gonna expect people who want to buy it or not buy it or whatever to be sane adults, so they can make their own decisions. So just have complete creative freedom, go nuts on this. And the things that even you want to do but maybe don't fit their profile as a store, they don't stop it. They just go, fine, this is not going to be a part of our roster, but we'll still showcase it. We'll still tell the world that this is an Indian graphic artist.
Correct.
Follow him. If you like his style, go for him or go for her. I mean, the kind of, the level of art that you see there with the people like Samir Kulawar or let's say Hari and Deepthi and Meera Malhotra and the likes. There are so many to name. It's just staggering. It's literally staggering, where you end up feeling like, wow, I don't do anything compared to them. This is nothing. Because again, the way that I design, I'm not so much of an illustrator personally. I think in geometry. I'm a engineering dropout, so I think in geometry. And I think in space. I think in isometric views. So that makes it way more rigid than traditional art, I guess. But again, that's where people like Culture Shoppe come in and they just go nuts. If this is your style, this is your style. You don't need to follow just because
particular school or something.
A particular school of thought. Like a Samir Kulawa's work is so fluid, you don't have to be fluid. As long as this is unique to you. So I mean, that's where those guys come in.
Yeah, cool. I think this is a good note to end this. Thank you, Amay, for giving us your time, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
The pleasure is all mine.
Yeah. So that's it from today's Gyan session with Amay. Stay tuned for more Gyan on Audio Gyan next week. Till then, bye.
We've all been forced to pause, reset, and reclaim our futures in light of the chaos of 2020. There's always darkness and adventure when you're not sure where you're going, but even the smallest bit of light can illuminate our paths. It can inspire us, show us the next step, give us a glimpse of where God is moving. Join us for a 40-minute stream service each week at sparktalks.net to hear from people who will share what they've learned so far in 2020 and challenge you with new ideas to ignite your life.